Howdy everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to build a flight case. This one's completely finished. We're going to do not the full thing like this because I originally did this video, and when I got done I looked at it, it was 4 hours long and no one wants to sit through that. So any of the parts that are redundant or something you see me how to do it once, I'm just going to speed up the rest so you can get through that. We're going to try to make this a little shorter. This particular box, if we open it up, take off the lid, this has a single 12 Soldano cabinet. It can be anything. It's just a flight case. But what's nice about this is this design is driven by this design. This is an IPT file. The other one's at a full assembly with all the parts. But in here, I have an iLogic, and there is a single dialog that changes the size of the internal thing that you're actually putting in there, and also the thickness of the foam. I only have 1 inch because it's just a guitar cabinet. If it was a computer, you might want to do 2 inches, but if I update this, it will change the size of the box and go back and update this entire flight case. All the dimensions will change and your hardware. So when if you put something in there, change it, you'll be able to actually see the lengths of this, get your cut sheet, everything's done. You don't have to rebuild this from scratch. Let's go into an empty version of this. Also, I will have a list. This handle here, this latch, is TCH Corp. When you get into the, let's see if you can see that without it clipping, Pen Elcom, I also have their website on there. So you can buy the extrusions from both companies. They both have their versions of it. This particular version is a slip-in. That means the wood will go directly into the extrusion. A lot of people, there's 2 reasons for this. They wanted the cabinet, the case to breathe because it is metal, so it's out in the sun. It'll shift or twist. It loosens it up in some ways if it's too tight. So they've used this, easier to assemble. Plus, if you do have rivets along here, a lot of flight cases that do tours, they just slam up against the wall, other cases, whatnot, the rivet heads will get ripped off. And since it's only an L extrusion, the case will start to fall apart. You'll have to put more rivets in. It's a real pain. So it's nice to have this. It's a little bit more expensive, but it just works. Also, if you do this, make sure you use washers on the back, because if you just drill a hole there, put a rivet through and try to get it to pop, it's going to pull right through, right up to the face of whatever you have, and it's not going to be secure. Just put rivets on every single, washers on the back of every single one of your rivets as you're assembling. So plan ahead. Also, for this has a Casterboard that's detachable. It's only 4 bolts. So that means the T-nuts that have to be used in the bottom portion have to be put in prior to the foam. So if you don't put these in, you're either going to be punching through the foam and kicking yourself because it's a mess, or you're going to rip out the foam to put these in. Just think ahead, plan ahead exactly how you're going to assemble this. Get all your parts, lay them all out, and then make sure you're following the right procedures. So for this case, to drive that case, I went ahead and laid this out. This particular one, and the dimensions on here are just arbitrary to whatever this cabinet is. I just laid it out. So we're going to actually have these all planned out, how they're going to be attached, the whole size. Obviously I did this ahead of time, so it's may not make a lot of sense until we start getting into it. Like here on this, I had to measure these because that's important, because this edge from the center will determine where I place a datum. So I need that length. Same thing, you want to know how large or what you're working with in the first place. Like the ABS plastic on the outsides, 040. It could be a little thicker. Some people use actually a pattern or fiberglass. It all depends on what you would like to use. I planned ahead for the latches. I know how high they need to be up so they don't touch the extrusion itself and where the tongue and groove needs to be, so it's centered out. Everything that we're doing here is going to be based off the object that we're putting inside. All our datums are going to be off of this. So here's an air gap. Here's the one thing. You want to make sure you do have enough free space inside. It's not a tight fit because you'll have a thing called a vacuum lock where you try to pull it off and it's resisting because there's no air getting around it to be able to get the lid off. So plan ahead. And also if you have a handle that pooches in a little bit on the foam, well, it's going, unless you cut out the foam to compensate where that comes in, it's going to push the foam in that same distance. So if this is not enough space, you're going to build a case where the object, the lid's not going to go on because it's not enough space, and it's going to bulge out the side. It's just, think ahead. So if this needs to be 1/4 inch all the way around, great, not a big deal. Foam also, you can see these are the parameters that I'm going to be using. Gap, I'm going to use these names so I know where I go. And also I have to put a datum on here, and you'll see why I do that. Let's go to these, just to make it faster to assemble. I already put the rivets in. You'll see these are a little different than the washers that are here. I just offset them so it would just show through. Same thing, you think ahead, these rivets are not long enough to be able to mount this because of this extra angle that comes up that goes around the tongue and groove. So I did this so I could just slap them on. If I was going to do a part list, I would have to put these in one at a time in the full assembly, so when the part lists come, I have a proper count. So that's another thing, but I'm just doing this. And also, you want to make sure whatever models that you use, you also put in the datums so you can align it in the assembly. This one, since it has a gap, this particular one is dead center, and then I have one so I can do horizontal location as well. Same thing, here's your the ball corner, and I put those on, just make it fast. And the same thing, this is pen Alcom for the handle, and I also put these in ahead of time so I can turn those on and not have to mess around trying to align it. I'm guaranteed where they're going to go. So let's turn this back on full. This is what we're going to build. I'm going to break these down into chapters. So let's go ahead and go on to the next one. We're going to show how to set up our base box that is controlling this entire part. When planning out what you want to do, you want to have somewhat of a template file. I've already created one. It just looks like a blank plate, but if you look over here and you see the blocks, these are all the extrusions and the things that I'm going to use to cut out a line and whatnot. For this, you'll see just the extrusion. This I downloaded. I was lucky they had a DXF file, and I just brought it in. The thing about it, once you get it sized, it's a good recommendation. Do this in another file. Once you're done, make it into a block, but delete the dimensions and bring it across. So you will end up having a clean history tree, and also your parameter tree won't have D1, D2, all that. That can come later. For this particular one, that's just the extrusion. Here's one that I did for layout, and you'll see two lines on this. This is where your latch will actually break. So depending on if you're doing a lift-off handle or a lift lid, this will be the alignment of where that would be, and this blue would actually be what's cut out of the wood. The rest is just shows your boundary so you can align it right so it's not having a collision problem. All these are already prepped. Here's the other thing I actually did. I actually went in and made user parameters. Your normal parameters are up here, but the ones down here, I went ahead and named them, and I also put the sizes based on what I've done. The thing about this, since it's parametric, obviously, you can go back and change. So if you have your tongue and groove is too low and your latch is actually colliding with the extrusion, you can go ahead and adjust that based on, because these are going to be based around not just parts, but a lot of datums, locations. This is what I need to drive and relocate things. So you can make a mistake on this and go back and fix it easily just by changing these user parameters. So here we have our prepped file. You'll see why I've done these this way. And let's go ahead and start by building the main box that we're going to use. Let's go ahead and build the box. We're going to start here. Go up to our rectangle. Everything's going to be based from the origin center point. So I'm going to make this box right here. And I'm just going to do that and make it easier for me to do my dimensions. So this is going to be the internal box. Since I already have my user parameters, I can go here, go to list, and this is going to be the box width. Zoom back, add another dimension, parameters. This is box height. Let's close out of that. And let's go ahead and extrude this. Same thing, we're going to use the extrusion, but we're going to go in both directions. And same thing, we're going to go to our list parameters. This is nice because they're already pre-done. I can use that same setup. And here's box depth. Now from here, I want to go ahead and make a file that's going to control this so I don't have to dig back through my history channel. So while I'm here, I'm just going to call this box. I like a nice clean tree. Messed with me. Sorry about that. Let's do that again. POX. So I know that's the beginning, the top of my tree, and everything else is going to be built around and off of this. So this box will control it. So let's go to management. Let's go down to add form. It's going to go box size. Say OK. And within here we have these. And I'm going to go ahead and add my foam as well. A control click for that. I'm going to drag it into here. This is everything I need. You can see it's building it as we're going. And these are our sizes. So we have a height, width, depth, 12, and 1-inch foam. So let's say OK to that. And hit save. It's a computer, never trust it. So this is where we're going to start. And from here, we're going to go ahead and start adding our datums that we have set up with our parameters. Okay, the next part of setting this up and getting the prepping before we start doing extrusion or bringing in anything of the profiles is we have to add up our datums. And we're doing this directly here, so at the top of the history tree, easy to find. So the first one we're going to do is going to be the split. Let's go into our list. You'll see tongue and groove split. When I picked this, it was actually done in a positive direction, so I'm just going to easily just add a minus in the front of that, and that'll place it. Now we need one top and bottom for the length of those tongue and groove extrusions. So we're going to do, offset, grab this, and you'll see why we're doing it this way. Go into our list. Here is our split above. It's already preset. Say OK. So go into split below. And there we go. You'll notice over here, you'll see this little little icon is a little different. This is controlling these two. These are linked to this. So that's what's nice. If I need to move, if something interferes and I need to move that split, all I have to do is move this work plane. I don't have to do anything else. So we're going to go ahead and do our latches now. So let's go ahead and create. Actually, we just grab it. Do here, pull. Here is this. We have latch center. So that's already preset. And on here, I'm going to go ahead and do their offsets because this is the area of where it's going to be extruded. The tongue and groove too as well has to have an offset for that. So let's do offset for that. Let's do list. Here's our left, which is actually right for this particular because of the normals the way they're facing. So it doesn't really matter. You'll understand where you are anyways. And since we're on this side of the box, offset latch, we're going to go, oops, my fault. Go to right. There we go. Good. That's the master and the driver. And let's do the same thing for the other side of the latch. Since we have these, once you have picked this, it does add them to this list right here, so you don't have to keep going into here. So you can go ahead and pick from there, which is nice. Offset. This is left. Offset. And this is right. Okay. That's our latches, and that's our split of the box where the tongue and groove meet. We have one more set to do. This will make more sense when we get into it. These are going to be corner. So we're going to pick here, grab that edge, pick a face, and we're going to do 45. Let's do that for the other ones. Actually, just to make sure, I'm going to do these and put the word corner in there. Corner 1. Just so you can separate these. I did not name this. This is the split. This is latch 1. Latch 2. It may seem a little ridiculous. Oh, I put 1 again. Sorry about that. Edit. There we go. It's just nice to be organized because you do not want to have to try to hunt this stuff down. Okay, let's do another one. $45. And you'll see the reasoning why we're doing this. No sense in explaining it right now, but it'll make sense in a little bit. 45. And let's do one more. Okay, that's all we need for those. That is our prep setup for all the extrusions and locations. Let's go ahead and save that, and we'll go to the next chapter. Now that we have our datum set, we can actually turn those off. But just before I do that, I'm going to do this. I like to go into, to make it easier to see, I actually put dash lines in here. Doesn't change anything. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to each one of these So when I go down through the history tree, it's a lot easier to catch. You don't have to kind of dig through or, read all this extra stuff. It just makes it a little easier. So I know where everything is, and these are just the subs of that. So now let's go ahead and turn those off. We can use those later. And now for here, we want to be able to do our first profile, and we're going to do that off to the side rather than on here. So let's do a sketch, and for this we need the front plane, which is our XY, and this is where we're going to actually lay this out. So let's go ahead and build this. We need 4 of the extrusions. Need our tongue on this side, groove on this side, our mirrored tongue, and our mirrored groove. This is what we're going to use for our profiles. These are obviously not in the right orientation, so let's fix that real quick. It does have an angle snap for these. Wouldn't make much of a difference because we're going to realign it. Which ones do we have left? Oh, this one. Okay, those are set. Now let's go ahead and constrain those to each other. Let me use a straight constraint. These are all going to be the inside of here. All right. That should be fully constrained. Let's go ahead. I'm going to slide this over. It's not going to be perfect in line because I'm using my space mouse to get here. Because if I actually do this, it zooms the entire mouse. Okay, now that we have that constrained, let's go ahead and we're going to add our wood. And I'll show you why. I'm doing this to the outside. You can notice as I'm just moving this around, it's trying to constrain or snap to something. And I like to build mine on the outside and then constrain it after the fact. So I'm not getting close to something and it jumps to it. Okay, have our 4 woods. Let's go ahead and constrain these. Go to the inside. One thing you'll notice on this, once this comes down, use the other constraint. There we go. You'll notice there's a gap in here. It's just the way that the extrusion's made for the tongue and groove. It's a little wider than what the regular side extrusion is. And since I'm doing that one, let's go ahead and just do this one as well. Okay, let's go back to our other constraint. This has a constraint to it already, and I did not want to constrain it to that in the first place. So it would be here. That's what I wanted. This may give me an error again. Yep, that is already a constrained section. So let's grab it there. Don't recall if I did that. Nope, it wasn't constrained. Let's see if I can get the correct one. Yep, opposite side. It already had a conflict with another constraint. Let's put a construction line between these because I'm going to need to use that. And let's go ahead and constrain these faces together. There we go. Now we want to add our foam. Here's the one thing about the foam. You are going to put a piece on top and bottom in your case first. And I should have turned off my constraint. Construction, that is. And it's still on. There we go. You want to hear, so the way it's actually arranged this way, you will not get any dirt down into the crevice. For here, I'm going to go ahead and constrain these to the cut line. Oh, that's right. They were already done that way. The sides. And then I'm going to go ahead and use, since this is already the 2-inch, I'm going to equalize these. Okay. They're all equal, and then I'm going to do one constraint dimension on here. Go into our parameters, look for our foam, and that's all 1 inch now. So that's completely driven. So I'm going to go ahead and attach it to the inside. Now, obviously, it's going to get glued to here and into this, but I'm just going to do it here. It's not going to make any difference. It's going to be easier to pick, and it's not going to change anything in the long run. Get that side. Let's constrain the bottom one. There we go. Let's do that to this face. There we go, here. And to the lower foam. Okay, that is our form. For the foam extrusions, we have one thing left to do, which I need for other datum control. So we are going to pick a line, and we are going to go back into construction line, and we're going to draw. Miss that. Not a problem. I'll just make a sloppy one. I can see these are off, but it's all right. I'm going to constrain those a second. So let's pick these. Let's try that again. Make sure they're horizontal. Let's do these. Make sure these are, well, one is. Just that one. Okay. Now I want to constrain these because these are actually going to help create some datums later on. So let's constrain that here. Okay, 2 more to go. Good. Did I get everyone? No. Let's do that one more time. There we go. All right, and now we need to trim that off. Good. This is a fully constrained sketch that we're going to use on the side as well as the front. So before we get out of this, we're going to select this, copy it, Control C, get out of here. We're going to do sketch, and this time we're going to do the side. So we're going to take this profile, paste that. It's going to come in a different orientation. Just make sure that your tongue of the tongue and groove is actually pointed in the right direction. Let's select that and rotate it into place. On our center point, it's going to give you some guff because it's seeing it as constraints. The constraints are in horizontal and vertical in the other direction. Not a problem. I am going to check this. It says D12, and I don't want it to be D12. I actually want it to be foam. Just to make sure. Okay, let's get out of that. So we have both of these. We do need one more, which is a little different. I'm going to go ahead and name these while I'm here. This is front. Profile. Side. Profile. And we don't need as much information on this, but we do need one for the top. So let's turn off these two so we're not making a mess. And then let's do a sketch, and we're going to go to that. Going to paste it, and it went out of the buffer. Let's go back here and grab the front one again. Copy it. Go to our other sketch and paste. Here's the one thing about this. Sorry about that. Everybody's doing updates. We're going to delete this because it's not necessary. And unfortunately, that's going to break some other things. So right now, let's move this in here. And we do not need the foam. Actually, let's strip this down pretty far. Make sure that we get in everything here. We may need to reattach those. Actually, I think it's be easier to actually clean this up after the fact. So I think we'll just align these to what we have the rest. So let's say okay to that. So that's our top. We'll just put those in place. It's not going to be a problem. I guess we could have just pulled out the other things, but I forgot the simplicity of that. Okay. So let's do top profile. Spelling it right? Nope. Profile. There we go. Okay. As you can notice, when you do pull those in, it's going to bring all those blocks across. So let's go ahead and turn this off. And we'll turn our front profile back on. Let's make sure we got a good update. Let's go into that profile. Hit save. Oh, I guess when you do that, it jumps back out. Let's do that again. Okay. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and attach this to the box, and we'll do that in our next chapter. Now to attach this profile, to the box and have it controlled, we have to actually project the box. But we want to make sure we turn on construction, and we do project, just pick the face, and you'll notice we have a construction line. We do have one other thing we need to add to that. We need to offset this for that air gap. So let's pick offset. Let's go ahead and add a dimension. We already have the air gap parameter in there. Air gap. There we go, and there we go. One other projection we need to do. We have to come back to our datums. Here's the split. I'm going to turn that on. Where are we here in visibility? Actually, oops, I think I was still in the other command. Here we go. Okay, you can see that, but I need to project that so I can attach this. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's project. Adds our line. Say okay to that. We can turn our datum back off. Good. Let's hit save. It's going to get out of the command there. And let's go back in. Okay. Now let's grab this, stretch this to the outside. Oh, probably didn't get an edge. There we go. Edge. There we go. Now, here's the datum. I want to drive it with this. So let's do a line. So you can see that turns purple. My colors may be different than yours. That's actually controlling that. And now we want to attach the foam to the gap, air gap location. Let's see if we can. It's a little hard to see when it's black like this. But we have that. We got purple. There we go. Sorry, this is probably a little tough to see. All right, there we go. We have a fully constrained sketch from the center. Good. I think our line is a little bit crazy, and I can't seem to grab the end. Not a big deal. All right, let's go ahead and get out of that sketch. And it's the advantage of building this and cut and pasting the other thing. We already have it set, so we don't have to worry about that. So for now, let's go ahead and turn off the front profile. Let's go to the side profile, make it visible, and jump in there. Same thing, we have to turn our split back on. We are going to project that. And I didn't make it into construction. Simple fix. Turn this back off. We don't need this anymore. Good. Let's go ahead and stretch this one into place as well. Good. And don't forget, we're going to make our air gap, so we're going to actually do a projection and turn this on. There we go. Do the offset. Put our dimension in there for air gap. Since it's already, I don't know if I mentioned this before, as you go through this, once you've picked those, a lot of times it'll add a list. I think at maximum's 5, but it's there for convenience, for speed. Okay, let's constrain our split first. And let's go ahead and do our foam here. Guess it jumps around a little differently. That's the right spot. Foam to air gap. Air gap. foam to air gap. There we go. Fully constrained. Let's go ahead and turn off that profile. Actually, we should have probably, that's all right. We'll figure this out in a second. Okay, let's go to our top and bottom, make that visible. Jump in there. Since these are just sitting here, these are constrained in some ways, but I can strain those again. See if we reattach these properly. That is already done. This one. This one. This is probably going to give me a already done. Just make sure. Okay. Now they're all constrained to there. To do this effectively, I should turn back on the profile. Let's see. So I'm getting a little turned around here. And this is where we would have left the lines on there. So let's do that. I'll show you what we have to do. One more. I should have done this ahead of time and left these in place, but that's all right. So we're going to do a line, do constraint. Let's do it to the outside, to that point. Okay. I'm zooming back because it's just hard to get this to control in minors. Keep in mind, there's probably a million ways to do this, but this is how I'm used to and what I've worked out for myself. Okay. So let's turn on our profile here. Make this visible. And for this, I'm going to control this here. So I'm going to do a projection of this line. And then I'm going to constrain that middle to middle. There we go. Same thing on this. I'm going to do, actually I did, oops, wrong one. That was the wrong projection on that. Let's do that over real quick. Sorry about that. This is the wrong projections. Should have been to the inside. There we go. Sorry, just made the video just a little longer. Didn't mean to waste your time, but even the best of us do this and we completely are in a zone and forget where we are. I was going to do the inside and I didn't. Sorry about that. Let me zoom in a little closer on that. Because the line I'm actually picking off of is the wood. Okay. Let's save that again. Profile's on. Let's go back into it. Okay. So that line's what we want to project to that, which is the wood. And that's what I was trying to go for, and I messed up. So let's project that. Let's constrain that middle. to there. That looks correct. Let's do the other side. Let's project again. Wood. Constrain these two together. And it looks like that got missed. Let's go back into this. You do these and you swear that you have it right. Well, it's doing that. Okay, for the other one, we have to turn off the front profile, turn on the side, and do the exact same thing. Zoom in here. Project. Find our middle point. There we go. Other side. Project. It is probably centered, so it's going to already be constrained that direction. That would make sense since these are already locked in. Okay, good enough. Okay, that's what we need for our profiles before we add a couple other things. Now that we have all our profiles, there's one thing we need to do to be able to get into the extrusion. We have to add some other datums. And that's why we made these particular ones that go to the edge of the extrusion. They have to be done as datums as well. So let's go ahead and do that set. Actually, we can back up here and have those datums independent. So we're going to pick side, and you'll see that space where that is. Say OK to that. Let's go to the other side. Line. Already set up properly. Yep. Let's go top and bottom. Good. Okay, we have that set. Let's go ahead and scroll this down to the side profile. Let's turn off these datums for now. They're kind of in the way. Let's turn on this profile. Okay, and we only need, since we have all the rest around on 4 sides, we just need these last 2. So let's pick here. Go 90. I'm not sure, I might be doing that too quick. You do the angle, pick the line, but you need it the other direction, so you pick perpendicular to that. Okay. That's all our datums. Let's turn this off for now. Go down to the bottom and go below. There we go. So we're back in our history tree. Let's go ahead and close up that. We don't need those visible. And we should be good for these datums, for our origin datums. Other profiles, same thing. Let's do this same thing for this. Let's go grab this. I might have skipped one of the notches, but that's all right. Go. Easy to see. I guess someday they'll make them so they can be colored, but in the meantime, we're just going to skip it out that way so we have a nice view. Okay, for this, we're going to go ahead and turn off our Side profile, we don't really need that right now. And our next step is to create our extrusions. Okay, now we have the front profile on, so we're going to use these datums to do our first extrusion. Let's turn these on. We're going to go ahead and zoom in on this. Extrude. And you'll make sure that it's all selected red. And this is how we're going to do this. We need to both go directions, so we're going to pick here. It's going to be our first plane. And then we're going to come down to here to go to, pick our other plane, and there's our extrusion. That's the distance that we need. We're going to say OK to that. That's our first one. Now here's the thing about this. I'm just going to do the outside. We're going to do the tongue and groove in a little bit. Let's turn these off. Even though we did that profile, we did that so it was perfectly constrained. But for this particular project, we're only going to do one of these, and then we're going to mirror it around. So let's go back to our origin. We're going to turn on our YZ plane, and we're going to select mirror. Going to pick this. Our object, oops. Okay, that's one thing I did wrong right off the bat. Let me go back here. Extrusion. I have to pick this to make it unique. Say OK to that, or it would have associated itself with the box. So let's go ahead and name that. This is going to be extrusion. Let's do side. Okay, let's try that again. Do mirror. I'm going to pick this. I'm going to this one, and I'm going to make it unique. I'm going to pick a mirror. Oops, missed the solid. There we go. There we go. That will grow with the rest. And this is mirror on that. Let's do that again. I'm not going to do both these at the same time. I like to keep these separate. So going to make that unique again. Pick this. And for that, obviously, what I should have done, let me do that quick. I was not thinking. I have to do the other direction. So mirror. Let's pick this one. Do unique. Mirror plane. Keeps skipping that. I'm not sure why. Okay. So we don't have to extrude each one of those individually, go through all that little extra work, because you're only going to use one to actually use as the base point. So here, solid. That time we got it right. Do that. Plane. Good. So we have our first set of extrusions in that direction. Let's go ahead and hit save. Okay, let's go ahead and do the other direction. We have the side here. So we're going to need the other plane, so we should be able to turn this one off. This one on. And as far as profiles, we need this one. Make that visible. Okay, let's go into extrusion. We have that. And we need the other planes. Did it again. Okay, so we come up here, we do this side, turn those on. Always getting ahead of myself. Extrude that again. Good, we have the whole thing. Pick here. It's going to go 2 because it remembers that. And then we have that extrusion. And let me show you why we put these planes in. These will meet at the tips, and the corner will cover up that part, the ball corner. So all we need is one of those. be good. We don't need these anymore until we do. Okay. So let's go ahead and mirror that. Mirror. What here? What unique? Pick our solid, plane. Say okay. I like to keep these individuals. You can do all these two at the same time, but you're not going to get the same result for the parts material. Mirror. Unique. Our solid. Mirror plane. There we go. Let's do it again. Solid. Mirror plane. Good. Have that set up. So now we have the top and bottom extrusions. Let's hit save again. Okay. Let's go ahead and turn on our profile. Let's see, we have our top profile. So we're going to turn that one on. And for this, we will need the other datums. So we're going to see where those are. We need this one and the bottom one. Make those visible. And we also, I guess we don't really need this one. Let's turn that off. Okay. We don't need the middle one as well. Okay. Good. But we do need the other splits. So we're going to have, here's our split. We have these two, and we're going to make those visible. Good. Top and bottom, that's all correct. So now we're going to do this. Do extrude, we only need to do this once. Make sure we're getting the whole profile. Let's go to the bottom first. So we're going to pick this plane and that plane. We're going to stay within that command. We're going to extrude that again. Let me zoom in and make sure I'm getting the right colors. We're going to go from this face to that. Good. Now we have the extrusion that we need for the vertical. This is the spacing where the tongue and groove is, and it meets up. So you'll see that we have a perfect match in all the corners. Okay. So let's turn on our planes again. And let's go ahead and mirror those. And then we're going to do these individual as well. So let's do the bottom ones first, a little easier to see. I missed it again. Unique, mirror. Okay. Solid, oops, deselected. Mirror plane. Good. Let's do the other way. Let's turn this off since I'm trying to make it a little less cluttered. And let's go ahead and turn that off too. All right. So let's go ahead and do the mirror again. Solid. Mirror. Good. Next one. Excellent. Now we have our main extrusions. Next thing to do is our tongue and groove. For those, we're going to need another set of datums. So let's go ahead and turn these all off. Let's get rid of this for now, just to make it a little easier to see. So for these, we had the 45s. Let's see where we had 45s. Made it easier to see. Let's select all those. Turn them on. And we'll pick and choose where we're going to go. So let's go back to one of the profiles. Let's do, this one will be the easiest for right now. Visible. It's because it's going to go from front to back. So we have these. Sometimes you can just slide these around if they're not where you want to see them. If you grab certain corners, it will actually resize it. Let's do that. Can I resize this one? Yes, and then move it back over. Makes it a little less cluttered. It's here. There we go. Thought I got this one. Guess I didn't. There we go. Good. Okay, you'll see why we actually had to make these, and why, if you look in the corners, because it's a 2-inch, actually let me get a better view here, since it's a 2-inch or a 1-inch and can go to 2 or whatever else, since this box is the same air gap all the way around, it actually splits directly through the middle of this vertical extrusion. So that's where we want those. So the profile, we have it turned on. So we're going to do tongue and groove. Let's do the lower one first, make it a little easier to see. So we're going to extrusion. Now you see what happened? When I'm pulling over this, that little gap over here is missed. So you do have to roll over the sketch itself or you'll miss that. And we're going to do a to and fro here, to here. There we go. We have our 45 chamfer. We didn't have to do anything weird. Just made it really easy. Let's go ahead and stay within that command. Just hit the plus sign. So now let's just do the groove. Same thing. If you are just here inside, you'll miss that. So go to the outside, clip it so you see it's all green. That's what you want to see. So let's go face to face. There you go. And we could jump out of that. It starts to get a little slow here because it's a lot of data. So go ahead and hit save again. And since we have this here, let's go ahead and turn on our YZ plane and just mirror these over. Before I do that, I'm going to call this TG. Let's see, that's TG1 side. TG2 side. So I can tell the difference on those. It's probably named them wrong, but it's all right. It's a tutorial. You can call them whatever you want. So same thing as we did before. Let's do the bottom first. Unique, peer, yep, mirror. There we go. Do it again. Good. Got our tongue and groove set for that. And we're good. So here, let's turn this off. Let's turn off that profile. It's our front. Let's go to our side profile, turn that on. Now, along with this, we're going to need a couple more datums. Let's go ahead and find those other ones. We have our datums for our latches. Here's our latch. And this is for the outsides. So that's the ones we want. We don't want the latch itself. We just want the outside. So let's turn those on. Good. For here, we're going to start at the outside so it's a little easier to catch, because if you extrude this and do the first one, which is here, it's going to be harder to see the sketch again and not miss that other little dimple that sticks in there. So we'll do the outsides. So let's do extrude. Let's go in here, pick the profile. We're going to do the bottom first. Let's go to here. And we're going to pick this side and hit plus. There we go. So we have our corner of that. Let's do the other side while we're here. I picked the plus side so I could stay within the command. Get the edge so you have all of that, because the foam actually bleeds over into it. We're going to go to this plane, and then the 2 is going to be the inside. Good. And the last one is the center. So pick your profile here to here. Plus sign. 1 to go. Profile. Here to there. Good. We have our extrusions. These corners are all done. Did we miss? Oh, yep, we did. I knew I'd do that. It's very common. I get sucked into what I'm doing here, but we can still get the profile and see if it's going to be right. Let's go ahead and do the extrusion again. Okay, it's showing the whole profile. To here. To the inside is what I need this one to be. Stay within. Let's make sure I'm getting the whole profile. There we go. Same thing. Face to the datum to here. Good. Let's spin this around to make sure we have all our pieces. Yep, we have those two sides were mirrored. We have this side, and now we're going to mirror to the other. So we do not need these 45 datums. Let's go ahead and turn those off. We don't need our profile. That's already done for this much. Let's turn off our other datums. Okay, we have a nice clean thing, so we only need an axis datum. So let's do here. Let's turn that on. And then mirror these over individually so they stay as individual parts. So I'll start at one end, so I probably, let's do that again. Bottom, mirror plane. Did I miss a solid again? I do this a lot. Okay. We do have, you'll see there is a situation with this. So when I extruded this, I must not have made that unique on that particular one. This is a good thing that I made that mistake, because you'll see what ends up happening. So if I do mirror on this, maybe I didn't. I just selected the other one by accident. That would be good. Okay. got ahead of myself. A lot of times if you have something else selected or you don't make it unique, it'll join it to that and make it a single part. That will mess you up. You will not have the correct number of parts, and you have to go back, and sometimes you'll break things trying to get that mess corrected. So let's do mirror plane. You can see it there. Good. Let's do the same thing with this. Let's go right across the board. Solid. Mirror. Yep. Good. Let's do. Now we could have either mirrored these over on that side or just mirror these. It doesn't really matter. Either way, it's still a mirroring function. Okay, that's everything. Let's turn this off. Where are we in the planes? Let's hit save. Good. So we have all the extrusions done. The next step, we'll do it incrementally from the inside to the out. So the next thing we'll do is our foam. To do the foam, we're going to use one of the profiles. Let's start with a side profile. Let's make that visible. And we're only going to do the top, and we can mirror that to the bottom. And this is going to be easy. We're going to do the extrusion on this. Going to pick the foam here, and it's going to butt up right against this other side since we already have the profile on that. So let's make sure that we have this selected so it's unique. We're going to do there, 2, and then we're going to do the other. And we have our first piece of foam. Taking a little bit. It's getting a little chunky. Let's not even worry about doing a mirror. Let's just go ahead and do this because it is getting a little wonky, and I think it would take just as long otherwise. We're going to pick that face, and you can see where we're grabbing. Here's the extrusion, the inside, and this is the 2, and that is our bottom piece. Okay. Same thing with here. Now this is going to have a little weirder extrusion. See if I can get in here and see this. It's going to be notched out. If I just pick this, like you'll see here, since it's profiled a little weirder, if I pick this, it goes around that extrusion. It's not a big deal. It's just a foam piece. In some ways that might be kind of nice. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go and place it across onto there and onto that face. Hit a plus sign so we can stay within the command. Give it a second. It's take a little longer. It's really starting to get chunky. Here. Let's go that face. Do that face. There we go. And I'm not going to jump out. I'm just going to stay with this and do the rest. Let's do that profile. Make sure we're getting the right face inside of the extrusion. There we go. And you can see it has a little John in there. It's not a big deal. You can be extremely picky if you want, but for what we're doing here, you get the idea, and you can fix it any way you would like. Okay. Now we have those. I just made it one piece. Now the other we're going to go right to these sides, so we wouldn't have to have that profile on any. Let's turn that off just to get a little clarity. We will come back and use that here in a second. So let's turn on the other profile, which is the front. That's the one we need. And we're going to do the bottom foam first. Oops. There. And we're just going to go inside of the foam itself, because that's how it would actually be built. 2. There we go. Okay. That profile. Face. 2. And we're just going to do the other side rather than try to mirror it. If you want to be very picky, you can go ahead and do that. So let's do bottom. Good. One more. Here. Face. 2. And just say OK, because that's our last piece of foam. Good. That's all our foam. Let's turn off this profile for right this second. I like to keep it clean. And then go down here. So these are our foam pieces. So let me rename those real quickly, and I'll speed that up. Okay, for the wood, we're still going to use the profiles, but we're only going to do in a little different fashion for this, and you'll see why. So let's go ahead and turn on, let's go back to our other profile. Let's do our side again. And the reason I did the inside to the outside, because it's a little easier to get to this wood. If you would have done the wood first to get to the foam, you would have to slice it and do all this other stuff. So it's just a live and learn kind of thing. So the wood goes all the way to the inside of here and here. So let's just go ahead and extrude that. If we pick that, you can see it does the entire wood, and all we have to do is go to the designated areas, and you can see where those are. So let's go that face. Zoom in here to that face. Good. There is a little rounding in that. There must have been something along the line that did that. Doesn't really matter. Say OK to that. Okay, that's our top, our bottom. Let's make that unique, because if we put holes in this, I don't want them to reflect on the other. So I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to do an extrusion. Oops, let me see if sorry, I'm swinging around here a lot, trying to find that space. There we go. Okay. Let's go to that face. To that face. Okay. We have a solid piece on that. Good. We have our top and bottom. Now we're only going to do just one of the sides, because we have to cut out the handles, and then we'll mirror that over. So let's go ahead and do this profile from the bottom half. Sorry, it's a little tough trying to navigate through here sometimes. So we need that inside. We're going to go 2. Make sure I don't get confused where I am. To that inside. And one more, and we're going to do the cutouts. Okay, let's go ahead and extrude that one. Let's see if we can get this the easy way. Zoom in here, there's a face. Good. Excellent. Okay, there's our wood. We don't want to put that on the other side. Let's turn off that profile. We don't really need that right now. Okay, so now for here, rather than do it twice, we're just going to cut out our latches and our handle on one of those. Oops. Well, we'll have to do that profile. And then we'll mirror that over so we don't have to repeat the exact same function. So let's go ahead and add our latches. We want to cut out the holes for the latches on this face, these two. But first I'm going to do just a little bit more organization. I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to put up with this. And I'm just going to put panel. We'll just put wood on this. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, let's go ahead and add the latches. So we're going to have to go back to the top. We're going to turn on a few things. Before we turn on the sketch, we do need the center. So since we name these, here's the latch 1 and 2. These are the centers. So I'm going to turn those on. And they're probably inside, so let's do this. A lot of times when they're that size, let's catch this at the top. There we are. Yep, totally inside. So let's move these forward so I can see them. Let's turn that back off. Good. Let's go back to the front. We have that on, and then we want to go back to modeling, sketch, and we're going to do the top portion first. Just like we did before, we're going to project these. Let's project that. So once those are done, we do not need those. Let's go back and turn those off. Back to the front. Select those and turn them into construction lines. We do need one more. I just realized that we do need the split. This is the middle split. Let's turn that on. Actually, let's see if we can do it this way. We need middle split. Guess we didn't have to go through all that. There we go. So now we have everything we need to locate. Let's go up to our blocks. Let's find latch. I'm going to pull this out. And we're going to pull this out. I don't remember if I told you or not. There's two different lines because if we're flipping the latch upside down, so the catch is right here and the lock is on this side. Reason is when you pull this off, you can leave the cabinet in here and not have to worry about the thing flopping down and making noise from vibration. So I make this to where if you're going to make this a lid type, you would use this top line, and since it's upside down and when using the bottom construction, we're using this line. So I just put them both in there. So we can easily do this. Let's do alignment. Take this line onto here, and we have one vertical line, and it's purple, so it's fully constrained. Good. and that's exactly what we needed. So from here, we're going to get out, extrude, pick that face. This is going to be a subtraction, and it's going to be right here to next. So you'll see it, just the thickness of that wood. Let's stay in that command. Do the same thing. Since it's pointing that direction, we just go here. Otherwise, you would just do reverse. To sometimes it gets a little wonky. To next. There we go. Good. That's the top wood. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for the bottom wood. You could use this profile over, but rather than try to go through a lot of that, I am going to use the same thing. Do projection. We're going to do the split. I guess I should have turned that on, but since I'm already halfway there, not worried about it. And then we're going to do the latch. And now I'll select them and turn them into reference. There we go. Then go back here up to the top. Here's our catch. Our latch, that is. Drag another one of those out. Line. I do this one first because if we do it the other way, it's going to go inside and it's going to be a little bit more tricky too. Selected the wrong line there. To mess around and try to get in there again. Come out. Let's do extrude to next. Same thing. A lot of times when you do the second round, it gets a little wonky. So we're going to select this again. Subtract. You can see it's not cooperating. So I'm going to turn that off, turn it back on. And then we're good. So there we have the latch cutouts on that side. And we can actually mirror these. Let me hit save. And I think it was saying something along the lines is, oops, sorry about that. Views. A lot of times you'll see this happen. If I hit save, this will come up and this particular thing got locked. So that means I didn't save what I'm doing. So I'm going to right click on this, go new. And I'm just going to leave it as view 1. Don't really care at this point. Save. There we go. Now it's saved it. It's not in the primary. So if we go back down here to the bottom, we had wood. This is cut out left and right. So here is this wood. And here I am going to mirror that over. And it's probably going to deselect that on me. Thought so. We're going to find our plane, which is this one. There we go. We have that piece of wood, so that's set. Let's do the same thing for the bottom one. All right. I have a bad habit of deselecting that. So let's go find our axis. Good. That's done. So we have both sides for our latches, and the last piece of wood is going to be these side panels. So let's go back up. Find our profiles, and we need front profile to get that. Let's turn that on. Let's do our wood, extrude. picked the wrong, let's try that one more time. I got at the end of the extrusion and not where I should have been. So let's do extrude again. Let's do here. That one. It's the correct one. And let's go 2. Good. Stay within command, hit your plus. Skin's definitely chunky. Here's our other wood profile. Face. Zoom in on that. And I'm not going to mirror these. Actually, I will have to do that now that I think about it, because I'm not going to redo the handle. Okay, for the next thing, let's square this up. Next thing we're going to do is add the handle cutout. Okay, for the handle, we want to have the same thing. We're going to do it a little differently. For this one side, I am going to slice this, and you'll see why in a second. Okay. So for here, the handle, we're going to see where we are with this. We want to start another sketch on this face, and we have to have a few projections. One is going back up to the top, go to our origins. You'll see right there, we need that to center it. Say okay to that. And we can go off the top of this. I do not remember how we actually did if we were going to go completely off the box, no matter how it moved or stretched or whatnot, we would go ahead and project the top of the box itself. But for this one, and I slice it just so you can see that, for this one, I'm actually going to do a projection off the edge of here. So let's project this. Let's make that construction. Same thing with this one. And then we're going to go up into our blocks. Going to look for handle cutout. And there we have that. Going to roll over top of this and then snap it right so it's constrained. And now I want to do that to the center here. And I should have a handle. There it is, handle vertically. Okay. When you lay these out, you want to make sure that the center of gravity, you're not dead center, because you're going to be twisting your wrist, and also have it in the right position so the casters are here, and when you're standing and you stand straight up, you clear the ground so you can carry it and not have to muscle it. You don't want to have to go through that. Okay, now that we have that, let's go ahead and cut that out. Same thing, subtract to next. And it's being fickled again. Still not getting what I want. Not sure why it's doing that. Let's back out of the chart again. Let's save that. Update. Okay, let's do extrude to next. It looks like it's going there, but I'm seeing this. Let's see if it works. Now I'm not totally sure why it was giving me a full projection, but you did see the green highlight of that cutout, so that should have been right. Okay, let's undo this. We're almost done with the main portion of the box. And we're going to mirror, go back to 3D model, mirror, Let's get the whole thing there. Mirror plane. Oops. We're here. There we go. There you go. So that is the main portion of the box. We have one other piece of wood. Let's save that. One other thing left to do. Let's go ahead and do the Casterboard. Casterboard will be pretty simplistic. We're going to go ahead and do a projection or a sketch, but we're going to use this edge because we want it flush onto here. Okay, and we only need, since we're going from the center origin right here, we only need to project 2. So this edge, and missed again. Let's get rid of the other one. There we go. Let's cross that, turn them into construction, and then let's go up to rectangle. I'm going to oversize this so it's easy to see. It's okay. There we go. You only needed 2 because it's actually going to, since it's here, it's only going to do that. So let's say okay to that. And let's do an extrusion. And 75. It's perfect. I made a mistake there. And this is, I wanted to show you this. If I go back to the extrusion, the original one that I had that color, the original I attached it to, that's going to treat it as one piece. That you do not need. It's going to make a mess. Go ahead and make it unique. It's not associated. It's just on that plane, and say okay to that. So now we have a separate Casterboard. Let's go ahead and name that. Common mistake. Luckily it was at the end of the chain. It would have been a little easier to fix. If it was further up, it can cause a lot of problems and break a lot of links. So you got to kind of pay attention. So we're going to sketch on top of this. We're going to come down to here and open down to that plane. Let's go ahead and get our projection on that. We need the edges of here. Select that again. Construction. Sometimes it's easier to do that and go up here and pick this and go back and forth. It's just whatever flow that you normally do. Let's go to our blocks, and we have this. We already have a projection, so let's align this. Let's go ahead and do here. Now this has a dual purpose on how it's done. This part gets cut out completely. This has a little bit of a recess, and these are for your caster T-nuts. So let's go ahead and see if we can do this effectively. Let's do update that. Let's save one more time. It's still a computer. And for here, let's do an extrusion. We're going to get rid of all that, so let's just go through all. Say OK. Good. We can just barely see this other section, so let's go down in here. This is our, turn our visibility back on. You can see that. There may be another way to do this, but this is just the easy way for me. This other portion, that gets recessed, and that will handle the ball so it doesn't touch anything, so you have a flush Casterboard to the box itself. So this is going to still be subtract, but I think 0.2 is probably more than enough. It really doesn't need to be too deep. I'm just doing this because of rivets and everything else that might happen. So let's say OK to that. And the last thing we need to do is the holes. For this, I think I already had that preset for something else. It's 1 inch diameter. This is a T-nut that drops in here. 125 is more than fine for the thickness. Just in case you paint this with like Line-X, they're not going to be too pronounced. They won't stick out. And 4.1 is going to be the clearance for the bolt that's going to go through there, or the T-nut that goes down into it. So say OK to that. And then we have our first corner. So let's go ahead for that. This is what I need to mirror. Let's see if I can get that whole piece. So let's turn on, oops, sorry about that. Let's go mirror. These do not have to be unique because they're all the same thing. So we're going to pick this. Okay, make sure we have everything selected there. The cutout, the recess, yes. We're going to do mirror. And for here, let's go back up to the top. Find our plane for that. Good. That's done. And let's do it one more time. Actually, I'm going to turn on the other so I don't have to run back up here. Wrong one. There we go. To the bottom. Let's do mirror. Make sure I got the right set. Yes. There we go. Casterboard. We do have one more thing to do on that casterboard, but we have the main portions done. Let's go ahead and turn this off. Okay. And turn off our other sketch. We don't need that anymore. Let's go to the bottom. And it's nice to have as a separate piece since it's two different sizes. Let's go ahead and pick on that. We have the center here. And this is not going to be the same on where we're putting these other bolts, so I can't use this unless I would project it through there. It's just easier. We're going to project the whole thing just to cut to the chase, so I don't have to go around at each other and build a hole. So let's make sure we turn on our construction. Go to here. Here we go. New line. Okay, and we're just going to put points right on the midpoint. And I missed that one, didn't I? Yes, I did. Let's zoom in there and just drag it over. There it is. Good. Say OK to that. And let's go ahead and add holes. We're only holding this on with a regular hole. Let's get rid of that. It's going to be 2/6. I think I'm only doing, no, let's do 3/8 for that. 0.375. Sorry, my chair squeaks a lot. 375 for that. And let's go to this top. I could have done 2 next, but sometimes I don't want to chance it. Good. Now that we have this, we do want to project those onto this other surface. So here is the wood, and we're going to put T-nuts on the inside, so you would easily do the sketch here. All you're projecting is those 4 that are going to be holding it on through the T-nut. So we're going to project these. And I'm going to get out of that sketch. I'm going to do hole. That is going the right direction. We're going to next. Okay. Not sure what's happening on that. Select surface. Maybe that's where I was wrong. There we go. Lordy, that was a long ways around. Sorry about that. That was just fumbling like an amateur. Let's hit save on that. That just probably added another 2 minutes to the video. Not necessary. This is where we are. We have built everything that you need for the cutout, the extrusions, everything would be right here. So this would be the next step. You can organize these, and if you wanted to go into individual parts like a solid, if you went properties, you could go in there and do extrusion 1. So when you would actually select all this to export, it would give you that. You wouldn't need every single thing. You only need a third of this box to be able to make it. So this top here, this here, this whole side, and that will mirror down, as well as Casterboard, and then your foam, you only need certain sides for that. So you wouldn't have to have the entire thing out unless you're going to make it look like we did for the original. So from here, all you would do, let's go to Manage, Make Component, and this is where it's nice if you go through the entire list and name everything. So since I named that one, if I window this entire part, if we scroll through here, here it is. That is the one that I actually named. So if you named everything through here as you went or after the fact, you will have an exact thing that rolls over into here. So we have, this is the name of the assembly. If I go next, you still have an opportunity to change these. Go through all the component names. There's selected body names, so you can change them that's going into the assembly. I'm not going to worry about that right now. That's something that's just going to make a longer video. So if I say, okay, let's let it crunch, you'll see it down here. It's going through all the parts. And that's it. You have made a full assembly that is controlled by this. So from here, you can go in there, and that's what's nice. So if we had the solids extrusions, you can actually select these. If you had them named, you would go through. Matter of fact, let's see if we can do that. Extrude 1. Let's see how far down the rabbit hole we go for this. And you could see what ends up happening. I'm only a little ways down, and here's Casterboard. So these do not move over in the same order. So it's nice to have the names. Then you can group them. So for now, let's do this. Which one are we selecting? See, that's foam. That does me no good. So let's just do it the hard way. We're going to select these. And you can see in the history tree, it's all over the place. Let's see if I can get every one of these without selecting something else. Which doesn't take much. A little slip of the hand, and all of a sudden you have a wrong part. Okay, we have all those. We're going to right click on that, new folder, and we're going to put extrusion. I'm going to move that to the top, and we're going to right click and get rid of it. Missed one, missed two. Thought I was better than that. Let's pick these two. Just drag them up into the extrusion folder. And I think the one is locked. Where is that? Do I have two at the same time? Oh, that's because they're still on. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's turn that visibility off. Okay, so that we have other extrusions here. Let's grab these. I thought I got them all. Apparently not. Let's turn them off before we drop them in there. Move them up. And there we go. Did we get everything? Yes. Okay, that's all the extrusions. Let's do wood while we're here. I have those. It's mirrored. bottom piece. Organization is vital when you have very complex models. Let's do wood. Go to the top. Where are we here? I guess it can go above. Let's turn that off. Did I get everything? Yes. Okay. The box. Let's see if we can get do the foam. The box should be inside. Okay, I think I missed that one. Yes. Foam. Keep going to the bottom of the tree there. This should be the box. So let's turn off the foam. Oh, we didn't export the box. We just did Casterboard and Casterboard. Okay. Which ones are these? Let me turn these back on. I must have got these out of order. Yep, I did. There we go. Casterboard at the bottom. There we go. There's your Casterboard. And this is the assembly. So here's the foam itself. Just right click on the directory. You can turn it all on. Here's the wood. And there's your full assembly. Let's hit save on that. Good. Okay. We have actually made our part top-down modeled, exported it. It's completely controlled by the IPT file. And now this is an assembly. Now, if we would have stayed consistent as we're building everything in the part file itself, we could have named everything. It would have been a little easier to find. It wasn't so bad here. But this is the nice thing. Here's your wood. You can select all that. Go up to material. Let's see if we can turn it a blue. Or a pink. I guess that doesn't really matter, but let's make it blue. Not sure how I missed that. There you go. So, and then you can add aluminum, just, polished silver or anything else that you want on this. Make the Casterboard different color. So if you jump back and forth, you'll go, wait a minute, which file am I in? And so if you have your assembly done, go ahead and put your materials on. So that's exactly how you would build this. So here's the true test. Let's go back to the original. We're going to go to our iLogic, cross the fingers, and hope we build everything correctly. And the depth is 12. Let's make it 20. Let's go to our assembly. Let's do our update up here and see if it grows. That's it. So whatever we do in the master, which is this is the one that you would mark. Probably a good thing to call it the name _master at the end, so you always know which one you're going back to. So let's turn this back into 12. Easiest way to deal with this is you would open up this one piece. It will go to its separate thing. Go ahead and put in your datums. Let's do a midpoint, face, face. There we go. Let's do another midpoint. Good. All right. Let's save that. Let's just leave that open. Let's come back to our assembly. There we have that. Our latches. Let's go grab one of those. Okay. This has the alignment already there. So let's do this. Let's turn these on. Let's do a copy. And let's just slap one in here. Okay. I have one in here. We do need one other datum for this. Let's go ahead and turn this off temporarily. Let's zoom in here and let's put a datum. Right there. Actually, not getting what I need here. Let's try that one more time. Let's do an offset datum and just set it to 0. Okay, so we have the datum that we need. For here, I am going to, because that's the dead center of that. And this has a bit of a gap. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's rotate this. Go into assembly, free rotate, select it. Because this is the way it would actually be oriented. Let's slap it onto the wall. So this portion goes onto that face. Say OK. Let's go that datum to that datum. Did I flip it upside down? Yes, it did. Let's go the other way. Hit apply. And this one is going to go to the one that we just created. Well, we don't need these anymore. So let's go ahead and turn those off. And let's see, where are we in here? It's all right, associated. Good. This usually have to go in. You can do it from here. But a lot of times when you open it back up, it will re-emerge. But there is how you lock that in. You put them on all the sides and it will grow with the box. So you see this little bit of gap here. If you needed it to change up or over or whatever the case is, if you had interference for that, you would use the original slice datum and you could move this thing anywhere you want. And then the distance for the latches, there's a center latch, and that's what you would use for here. Let's throw in a handle and a corner, and you will get the idea. You'll be done. If you don't want to go any further, you already know what we're doing. You can tune out now, but I'll slap these for everybody else that wants to see the rest. Same thing. I'm going to open this up, and that happened. Okay, the box, the reason we didn't find the box, this was attached to the box. So that's why if I have to go back into the original, this is how I would fix that. So actually, I think I'll stop it here because otherwise I was going to add datums to the midpoint in that. This is why we weren't seeing the box, because that is treating it as one piece. When we did the extrusion, we didn't make sure that we hit the plus sign or the unique button to be able to keep that. That's why we didn't see the box. This is typical. When you go through here, you got to make sure you can turn things on and off. You could test them as you're going. It takes much longer, but this we could probably fix just by going back in and changing that into unique so they're not associated with this. Not a problem. So now we know what happened to that. And you already know how to add a handle, slap it in. Same thing with a corner. You just attach here and you're done. Casterboard, if you needed to work just on that, you can actually, here's your casterboard, go down to isolate. And from here, you could put in your T-nuts, your other bolts or whatever you need to attach. Same thing, you would go into that. Let's end isolation. You could go into this bottom piece, which is this wood. If I open that, we should see the holes in there. Yes, T-nuts would go here. So that's how you can make sure you have an exact part list catch. That's how you build a parametric road case that you can use in multiple ways. So If you have any questions, hope this was helpful. Sorry I made a mistake on not picking that one button. You have to be careful to be able to make sure that I could fix it here, but I'm not going to waste any more time. This has probably been longer than it needed to be. Thank you for your time. We'll see you at the next tutorial. Thanks.